In recent years, few topics have generated as much global speculation, controversy, and intense public scrutiny as the network surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. When court documents were unsealed and investigative reporting intensified, attention quickly shifted beyond one individual. The focus widened to include high-profile associations, billionaires, politicians, academics, financiers, royalty, and cultural elites. But what do the so-called Epstein Files actually reveal? What is documented, what is alleged, and what remains legally unproven? Today's video is not about rumors. It is not about sensationalism. And it is not about declaring guilt where courts have not. This is a structured, fact-based exploration of the billionaire connections referenced in public records tied to Jeffrey Epstein. We will look at documented associations, business relationships, social circles, and the broader ecosystem of power that allowed those connections to exist. This is inside the billionaire connections referenced in the Epstein Files, a full, uninterrupted deep dive. Let's begin. Who is Jeffrey Epstein to understand the network? We must begin with the man at the center. Jeffrey Epstein was a financier who operated in elite financial and social circles for decades. Despite lacking a traditional Wall Street profile, he cultivated relationships with some of the world's most powerful individuals. In 2008, Epstein pleaded guilty in Florida to state charges involving solicitation of prostitution involving a minor. Years later, in 2019, he was arrested on federal sex trafficking charges. He died in jail that same year while awaiting trial. His associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, was later convicted in federal court on charges related to sex trafficking. The release of court documents, depositions, and flight logs over the years revealed a broad web of social and professional connections. It is important to clarify. Appearing in documents, flight logs, or social photographs does not equate to criminal wrongdoing. Many individuals referenced have denied knowledge of Epstein's crimes, however. The scale of the network itself raised global questions. Epstein's strategy was simple but effective. Embed himself in elite environments. He cultivated relationships with billionaires across industries: finance, technology, retail, real estate, academia, and philanthropy. One of the most publicly discussed names, with Bill Gates. Reports confirmed that Gates met with Epstein multiple times after Epstein's 2008 conviction. Gates later described those meetings as a mistake and stated he was seeking philanthropic connections. He has publicly expressed regret over the association. Another frequently mentioned figure was Les Wexner, founder of L Brands. Epstein served as Wexner's financial advisor for years and was granted significant financial authority, including control over certain properties. Wexner later stated he severed ties with Epstein and accused him of misappropriating funds. The relationship between Epstein and Wexner remains one of the most financially significant connections in the entire case. In tech and venture circles, Epstein reportedly sought to position himself as a connector between scientific research, artificial intelligence, and wealthy donors. He hosted private dinners with academics and investors, attempting to create intellectual legitimacy. The strategy worked, at least socially. A key part of the Epstein narrative centers on travel flight logs from Epstein's private jet, often referred to in media coverage, included numerous high-profile names. Again, inclusion on a flight log does not imply criminal conduct. It simply documents travel. Among those whose names appeared in various public records was Bill Clinton. Clinton acknowledged traveling on Epstein's plane multiple times for philanthropic work, but has denied knowledge of any criminal activity. Another widely discussed name was Donald Trump, who had social interactions with Epstein in the 1990s and early 2000s. Trump later stated he cut ties with Epstein long before the 2019 arrest and condemned his actions internationally. Prince Andrew faced intense scrutiny over his association with Epstein. Prince Andrew denied wrongdoing but later settled a civil lawsuit without admitting liability. These associations illustrate the breadth of Epstein's reach, from politics to royalty to billionaires. Epstein's method relied heavily on perceived value. He presented himself as a financial strategist, a philanthropic connector, a science patron, a deal facilitator. He donated to universities. He funded research initiatives. He hosted salons that brought Nobel laureates and investors into the same room. Access to intellectual prestige opened doors to billionaire circles in elite spaces. Introductions matter. One trusted connection leads to another. Epstein leveraged his system repeatedly. He positioned himself as someone who could connect capital to ideas for billionaires seeking legacy projects in science or philanthropy. That proposition carried weight. The so-called Epstein Files generally refer to court documents, deposition transcripts, and investigative releases, civil lawsuits, unsealed testimonies, financial records, flight logs, email exchanges. It's critical to separate categories: being mentioned, documented association; being accused, legal allegation; being convicted, criminal determination. Many billionaires referenced in documents have never been charged with crimes related to Epstein. The documents primarily reveal proximity, not proof of misconduct, however. Proximity to a convicted offender created reputational consequences, especially after public awareness intensified. The Epstein case exposed how concentrated wealth ecosystems operate. Billionaire networks often overlap across philanthropy, private equity, political fundraising, think tank, academic boards, international summits. Epstein exploited that overlap. He understood that ultra-wealthy environments rely on trust signals, exclusivity, references, social proof. Once inside those circles, visibility multiplies rapidly. This isn't unique to one case. It reflects how elite networking operates globally. The Epstein scandal forced many billionaires to publicly clarify their relationships and due diligence practices for billionaires connected socially or professionally to Epstein. The fallout varied. Some issued statements distancing themselves, some conducted internal reviews, some severed philanthropic ties connected to Epstein-funded projects. Large institutions, including universities, returned donations linked to him. The broader billionaire community became more cautious about reputational risk management in ultra-wealth environments. Association alone can damage brands. The reason this topic continues to generate attention is simple: power combined with secrecy generates suspicion. When billionaires, royalty, and global leaders appear in legal documents connected to criminal cases, the public demands transparency. However, legal systems operate on evidence, not speculation. To date, criminal convictions have centered on Epstein and Maxwell. Many high-profile individuals named in documents have denied wrongdoing and have not faced criminal charges related to Epstein. The distinction between association and criminal culpability remains crucial beyond individual names. The Epstein case revealed systemic vulnerabilities: how wealth can buy access, how social prestige can override skepticism, how philanthropy can shield reputation, how elite circles operate with limited outside scrutiny. It also revealed how quickly public trust erodes when transparency is lacking. The billionaire connections referenced in the Epstein Files show less about conspiracy and more about how interconnected global elites truly are in high-net-worth ecosystems. The same names appear repeatedly across industries. Finance overlaps with politics overlaps with academia, overlaps with philanthropy, overlaps with billionaires. Epstein positioned himself at the intersection of all four. Inside the billionaire connections referenced in the Epstein Files, we find something complex. We find documented meetings. We find social overlap. We find elite networking systems. We also find legal limits. Association is not conviction. Appearance in records is not proof of crime. To confirm criminal responsibility lies with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. The broader network reveals how power structures function and how fragile reputations can become when scrutiny intensifies. If you found this deep dive informative, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification